afternoon. Sinong tech people? Pa-sound check lang ako kung okay yung sound ko.
Okay po, ma'am.
Okay, walang electric fan sa background.
Wala po.
Okay, thank you.
Local communities are usually faced with the problem of poor collection, management, and analysis of data that can inform better policymaking and service delivery of health, education, and infrastructure. Take the pandemic, for example. How much should the limited budget be divided for COVID testing and quarantine facilities when there are other needs for education, disaster risk management, and social welfare? Who and where are the families who should receive ayuda? The lack of data has made it difficult for LGUs to respond to the needs of the community. How then can we harness the power of data and coalitions to help local communities find the right solutions to their concerns? Introducing the Data-Driven Development in the Philippines project, or PH3D. The project is co-funded by Action for Economic Reforms and the European Union. The PH3D project engages local government and civil society organizations to be champions of human-centered, data-driven development. The project envisions local communities that are empowered to make decisions backed by the use of technology and data. This data approach involves, first, collecting data that is timely, disaggregated, holistic, and involves local actors to identify priorities. Second, ensuring data is accessible to all stakeholders, LGUs, the academe, CSOs, and the public. Third, analyzing data to turn it into valuable information and evidence and build the capacities of LGUs and CSOs in the process. Fourth, using the evidence produced as the basis for creating targeted policies and programs. Finally, Through regular feedback, this process will lead to better prioritization, mobilization, and allocation of local resources for human development. Critical elements to this approach are the formation of strong partnerships and the use of technology. PH3D is grouped into three components. The Development Data Lab converts data into actionable evidence and information. The Policy Development Lab links the evidence with the design and implementation of targeted policies. And the Data and Tech Alliance for Development builds consensus around the use of evidence-based and participatory making through community partnerships. PH3D is a 2-year project that focuses on 4 sites: the city of Pasig in Metro Manila, the municipalities of Arteche and Giwan in Eastern Samar, and the province of Sorsogon and Bicol, and covers 3 sectors: transparency through freedom of information for Pasig, disaster risk reduction and management for Eastern Samar, and universal healthcare for Sorsogon. To achieve our goals, we collaborate with partners from the local government, led by dynamic local chief executives. We also work closely with partners from civil society and state universities, including Lingap para sa Kalusugan ng Sambayanan or LICAS, the Right to Know Right Now Coalition or R2KRN, and the Eastern Samar State University. With strong cooperation from partners in the public, we can promote responsive local governance in our 4 project sites. And we hope to inspire other communities to become champions of data-driven development and participatory governance. This is the goal of PH3D. Visit our website, follow our social media accounts to learn more about the project.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. We're happy to have all of you. And we'd like to say hello to all our participants. Thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome to the PH3D Online Learning Series. The PH3D Online Learning Series is organized by the Data-Driven Development in the Philippines project, or PH3D. PH3D is a project of Action for Economic Reforms and is co-funded by the European Union. Before we begin, I'd like to remind everyone to rename your respective Zoom profiles to your organization, if any, followed by your first and last name. To avoid interruption during the program, please make sure to mute your mic. You may turn them on later if you wish to ask a question. We also encourage you to keep your video open. If at any time you have any questions or comments, you may type them up on the Zoom chat box. And for those joining us on Facebook, you may type them up in the comment section. We will definitely take note of all your questions and comments and read them later in the program. This is the second online learning session of the PH3D Online Learning Series, InstAyuda, fast-tracking financial aid through data and wallets. We've all heard about e-wallets, and it has evolved so much throughout the years, most of it centering on the needs of consumers and businesses. But during this pandemic, a brand new power user has emerged: governments. How have governments, or for those that haven't, how can governments take advantage of e-wallets? Today, we will learn about the potentials of e-wallets and payment centers in the operations of government, and of course, in the distribution of Ayuda. We will be joined by one of the country's leading e-wallet providers and a non-government organization that has collaborated with a local government unit to pilot a brand new approach in disaster response, not just in terms of electronic disbursements, but in the timing of its distribution. So today, we are also proud to launch the PH3D website. Plenty of things to cover today, so let's get started. To open the second online learning session of the PH3D Online Learning Series is the President of Action for Economic Reforms. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Jessica Reyes-Cantos. Hello, Ms. Jack. Good afternoon.
Hi, magandang hapon, Ira. Nice to see everyone. All
Magandang hapon po.
ready to get their own ayudas. Meron ka bang pa-ayuda rito, ha, Ira? Sa mga attendees?
Galing po sa inyo.
Galing sa amin. Eh, ibang klaseng pangulo ako eh. Siguro later, pag ibang klaseng pangulo na ako, kaya ko rin magbigay ng ayuda. But,
we'll hope for that.
Yes, sana. Anyway, I am so happy to be given this privilege of welcoming everyone to this very important online learning session of our PH3D program. During the first online learning session, we learned a lot, really a lot. We learned about the basics of data-driven development. If you missed that, you can watch it on the brand new PH3D website to be launched later today. In there, kwento si Mayor D of Kawayan City, we learned that even the poorest municipalities can develop data-centered interventions and even emerge as the first smarter city in the Philippines as judged by the DOST. And then we had another very vibrant speaker last time, the first PhD online learning session niya, si Professor Erica Legara of AIM, Asian Institute of Management. Through her, we saw how data sharing within a group of Metro Manila local government units in collaboration with the DOH, the academe, and the private sector can design a better contact tracing system that links testing to contact tracing to potential close contacts notification. And we also had Doc Tony Dance of the Philippine Primary Care Studies, that's PPCS. Through him, we saw how a group of unlikely tech experts, healthcare workers, so frontliner na tech experts pa, they developed a highly effective and intuitive health monitoring system, a system by health workers for health workers. And well, we had lastly Dr. Lawrence Go, our data lead of PH3D. He capped the discussion saying that data poverty makes it hard to solve real poverty. Before I go on and allow you guys to jump into the Ayuda session, I would like to recognize and thank our very great partners, active partners in this project. I see among the participants representatives from Pasig, meron rin from Davao LGU, Giwan. I hope there will be people coming in from Arteche as well, so and Sorsogon. So with that, we are now into our second online learning session, where we'd like to learn how data and technology can be used to address the distribution of financial aid or ayuda. Sabi nga kanina ni Ira, he couldn't have introduced the topic better. So how can ayuda distribution be made better? How has some local government units capitalized on this platform, especially this pandemic, and what is its future? The World Bank said, data revolution is transforming the world. This is precisely the role of PH3D and Action for Economic Reforms. This is the role that we wish to play as we work together with our partner sites. We hope that through these learning sessions, we are able to help LGUs join the data revolution. Ibang klaseng revolution ng ating ilo-launch ngayon. And through it, improve its services and the lives of our people. Thank you for being with us. But I allow me to mauna na ako magpasalamat rin sa ating mga magsasalita ngayon. Si Ms. Tisha Quinitio, LGU segment PayMaya Enterprise, and Mr. June Arcayna from the Financial Inclusion Manager, Be Ready, one of my favorite INGOs, Oxfam in the Philippines. With that, let's get it on. Pahingin na ng ayuda, Ira.
Ito na po, ang ayuda. Ayuda na. Thank you very much, Ms. Jack. Una, thank you for recapping yung mga naganap sa OLS 1 and for rallying everybody into this brand new revolution, sabi nyo nga. And as you've mentioned, yung website. And we don't have to wait too long for that. It's website time. I'd like to now invite the overall project coordinator of PH3D and a senior fellow of Action for Economic Reforms, Vicky Quimbo, to help us unveil the PH3D website. Let's do it, Vicky.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Ira. Thank you, Jack, for that wonderful opening remarks. So, ngayon, sa araw na to, kayo yung mga unang-unang mabibigyan namin ng preview of what the PH3D website is all about.
Ito yung ayuda.
Oo. Andun din yung ayuda in the website. The PH3D website is an information portal where you will find everything you need to know about the project. And also, you will find there too the Action for Economic Reforms advocacy for a people-centered, data-driven approach to inform policies that would lead to better service delivery and also a better quality of life for all. Now, in the website, you will have an idea of how the project started. Then you will see the team members. You will also have you'll also catch some pictures of our project sites, and we will also tell you about our partners there in the project sites. And our partners are the local government units, and then we also have state colleges, state universities and colleges, and also the civil society organizations. You will also find their news about our events and stories by our partners on the ground, and also some reference materials like policy notes and data reports churned by the project, and also capacity building instructional videos and guides, so you can do self online learning activities there. And also, you will find this particular online learning series videos. So if you missed the last one, you can see it in the website as well. And of course, a lot more. So to have an overview of the PH3D website experience, let's watch this short video.
We are excited to unveil the PH3D website. The website will contain everything to help you get to know the Data-Driven Development in the Philippines project, or PH3D. PH3D is a project of Action for Economic Reforms and is co-funded by the European Union. We want you to be able to understand our advocacy, learn how you can be part of it, and identify opportunities to collaborate with us. You'll be up to date with everything happening at PH3D, from project site reports, opinion articles from our local coordinators, PH3D studies and policy papers, to partnership updates. Are you looking for a more immersive experience? The site has you covered. Video stories on the latest developments and past PH3D online learning sessions. PH3D advocates collaboration with different actors of the community, so we have dedicated sections that feature our partner sites. From the city of Pasig in Metro Manila, the municipalities of Arcayna and Kiwan in eastern Samar, to the province of Sorsogon in the Bicol region. The site will also feature our partner civil society organizations, Cyrilitics, the Eastern Samar State University, the Environmental Legal Assistance Center, Lingap para sa Kalusugan ng Sambayanan, and the Right to Know Right Now Coalition. And there's definitely room for more. Now that you understand our advocacy, we're excited to work with you. Whenever you're ready, we're here to listen. And there's more in store in the future. So welcome to the PH3D website. Visit us at ph3d.aer.ph.
Thank you very much, Vicky. And you're right. If you like what you see today in today's PH3D session, feel free to share the link with your colleagues and friends so that they can also learn about InstAyuda. So let's get started on today's PH3D OLS 2, starting with our very first speaker. She is responsible for enabling local government units, state universities, and cooperatives to electronically disburse various funds to its employees, students, members, and constituents. The cities of Manila, Mandaluyong, Pasig, and Quezon City, the University of the Philippines, Diliman, and Cebu, and the provinces of Bataan and Tarlac are just some of their partners. She specializes in digital financial inclusion through their multifunctional ID, an initiative that focuses on farmers, fisher folks, teachers, senior citizens, students, and persons with disabilities. She recently established the first Cashlight Barangay in Namayan, Mandaluyong, and the first digital palengke in Marulas, Valenzuela. Tisha, you have to tell us more about that. Please join me in welcoming the LGU Sector Head of PayMaya Enterprise, Miss Tisha Quinitio. Hello, Tisha.
Hi sir, magandang hapon po. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Ang presentation ko po this afternoon is about enhancing government services with digital finance, powered by, of course, PayMaya. Let me share my video first.
Thank you for joining us today, Tisha.
Maraming salamat for inviting me, sir. It's an honor to work with you again. Ayan. Kita na po ba ang aking video, sir?
Not yet.
Not yet. Hold on. Na-traffic lang, sir. Na-traffic lang po.
Yep, of course. We're waiting. We're willing to wait. Just like
Ayan po. Kita na po ba, sir?
Is it just me or is there a problem with the presentation? Wala naman. Can you try it again? I think we made you co-host just now.
All right.
Yeah. But just like Ayuda, we're willing to wait. But there we go.
Better?
Right.
Yes?
Yep. We can see your presentation now, Tisha.
Great, great.
Get away.
Just present it. Ayan. So magandang hapon po muli sa inyong lahat. Sisimulan ko po ang aking presentation with a very brief introduction of who PayMaya is. Ang PayMaya po ay ang digital financial arm ng Voyager Innovations. Kami po ay leader pagdating po sa digital financial services sa ating bansa. At ang aming stakeholders po would include, of course, nandyan po ang PLDT, ang KKR, ang Tencent, at ang IFC. Sila po ang sumusuporta po sa amin para ay ma-achieve po namin ang aming adhikain para po sa ating mga kababayan at sa ating bansa. We are licensed by the BSP as an electronic money issuer, and we also operate as a domestic remittance agent. At mayroon din po kaming issuing at acquiring po na license mula sa Visa, Mastercard at JCB. Kami lamang po ang mayroong end-to-end na digital financial services which enables mga negosyo po, pati na po ang gobyerno at ang ating mga consumers. Mayroon po kaming 4 na major businesses. The first is our PayMaya e-wallet. Ito po ang pinakamabilis at pinakamadaling paraan para magkaroon ka ng financial account. Napakasimple lamang po. Gamit po ang ating cellphone at kahit ano pong mobile number, i-download lamang po ito at ito po ay free of charge pa po. So ngayon po ay mayroon po kaming 41 million na registered na PayMaya users. Ang sunod naman po namin na business ay ang aming merchant acquiring business. So as an acquirer, we can accept different modes of payment from POS, pati po online, kahit QR po pwede. And we also process card payments, be it debit card or credit cards, and even e-wallet payments. At kami rin po ang biggest online acquirer ngayon sa ating bansa, processing more than 60% of all online transactions. At kami rin ang fastest growing POS payment acceptance acquirer in the country. Ang pangatlo naman po namin na negosyo ay ang tinatawag po namin Smart Padala Business. Ito po ang pinakamalaking domestic remittance network na mayroong around 60,000 strong agent touch points at makikita po kami sa 92% of the cities and municipalities in the country. Konti na lang po at ang buong Pilipinas po ay magiging covered na po namin. At kamakailan po ay in-approve na rin po ng BSP ang aming lisensya na maging digital bank na naglalayong tumulong sa sektor na unbank, kagaya po ng ating mga senior citizens na malapit po sa aking puso, ang ating mga kababaihan at ang ating mga kabataan, pati na rin po ang mga maliliit po natin na negosyante. Ito po, sa screen po ang nakikita po ninyo ay ilan lamang po sa mga enterprise partner po namin. Kasama po dyan ang mga merchants na go-to ng mga Pinoy. Marami na rin po kaming partners mula sa national government agencies at sa hanay po ng local government units. Yung nakikita po ninyo sa screen ngayon, sila po ngayon ay gumagamit ng aming disbursement and payment services at marami pa po kaming ino-onboard na LGU sa kasalukuyan. We also have the biggest wallet loading network in the country. Mas marami pa po kahit pagsama-samahin po natin ang mga bank branches at ATM sa buong bansa. Okay, so the good news is there are a lot of LGUs who want to go digital. At dahil nga po sa pandemic, hindi na po talaga uubra ang bahay-bahay na pamimigay ng cash assistance. At napilitan nga po tayo na mamahagi po tayo ng cash assistance electronically. And then all of a sudden, di ba, bigla-bigla na lamang ay nasubukan po ng ating mga constituents kung paano po makatanggap ng ayuda o disbursements mula sa mga LGUs na hindi na po kailangan pumunta sa munisipyo o sa City Hall. Last year po ay sa kasagsagan po ng ECQ ay we disbursed a little over than 4 billion na sa halos close to 500,000 na mga PayMaya accounts. And finally, naisip po natin na okay naman pala ang digital transactions, mabilis at convenient na, safe and secure pa. So when we engage with an LGU, we usually start with our payout portal, and then eventually we go to our payment gateway. Ang payout portal po ang ginagamit para makapag-disburse po tayo sa PayMaya accounts. Ito po ay web-based na tool kung saan po nakaregister po ang ating mga beneficiaries. At ito rin po ang ginagamit natin para makapag-disburse po ng cash assistance sa ating mga beneficiaries anytime we need to. Meron po tayong dalawang major activities na kailangan pong gawin bago po tayo makapag-disburse. Ang una ay dapat makapagbigay po kami ng payout portal na may kasamang batch registration portal sa aming partner LGUs. May hihingin lamang po kaming mga documents bago po namin maibigay sa LGU yung portal. And normally it would start with an ordinance or a resolution that will allow the mayor to enter into an agreement with PayMaya. And then the rest of the documents are just PayMaya forms. Oh, and of course, we will also ask for a budget appropriation para alam po natin na meron po tayong paghuhugutan ng pondo para po sa ating disbursements. And then, yung next step po ay ang pag-register ng ating mga beneficiaries sa batch registration portal natin para maisama po sila sa ating master list. Kung hindi sila kasama sa master list, hindi natin po pwedeng
Recording in progress.
Ang master list po ay naglalaman ng mga mandatory data ng ating mga beneficiaries. Nakita po ninyo yan sa screen po ninyo. Ang ilan po dito ay syempre ang mobile number, napaka-importante po niyan, ang full name, kung saan po nakatira ang ating beneficiary at ang kanyang birthday. Actually, itong step na ito ang pinaka-critical. This step is the deciding factor if your disbursement will be ang pinakamagandang nangyari sa buhay mo or ito po ay makaka-encounter ng issues na kailangan po nating ayusin. Ang susi po sa tagumpay ay dapat meron po tayong ang beneficiaries po natin dapat ay merong PayMaya accounts. At kung ano po yung number na ginamit po nila sa pag-download ng PayMaya app, yun po ang dapat na isama po natin sa master list po natin para nang sa ganon ay makakasigurado po tayo na may papupuntahan, may patutunguhan po yung disbursement na ginawa po natin at sa tamang numero po ito madidisperse. Napakalaking advantage po talaga na meron tayong pinanghahawakan na credible na database ng ating mga beneficiaries. So to date, we have around 7 partner LGUs using our portal. Nandyan po si Manila, Pasig, QC, Mandaluyong, Caloocan, and the provinces of Tarlac and Bataan. Mabuti na nga lang po ay nag-avail po ang mga LGUs na ito at meron po silang nagamit na disbursement facility sa panahong kailangan po nila, lalo na po during the ECQ. Si Manila po ay nag-avail sa amin ng disbursement portal at Citizen IDs powered by PayMaya. Ito po ang gamit ni Mayor Isko at ng OSCA upang ma-disburse po nila ang monthly pension ng higit kumulang na 100,000 na senior citizens po ng kanilang lungsod. Si Mayor Joy Belmonte naman po ay ginagamit ang aming portal upang ma-disburse po ang allowances ng kanyang scholars. I think right now the mayor has around 9,000 scholars and she will add another 9,000 before the year ends. And then during the ECQ, ginamit rin po nila ang facility namin para makapag-distribute din po ng cash assistance sa mga beneficiaries po ng Kalingang QC. Si Caloocan naman, actually, maganda yung use case ni Mayor Malapitan gamit yung disbursement ng PayMaya. Kasi imbis na pinapapunta niya pa po ang mga teachers, ang mga traffic enforcers po nila, pati po ang mga bumbero at I think kasama ang mga hurado. Instead na pinapapunta pa po nila sa City Hall ay dinidisburse na lamang po nila yung sweldo ng mga ito sa kanilang PayMaya cards. Ayan. Si Mayor Menchi naman, kagaya po ni Mayor Joy, ay ginagamit niya po ang aming portal para naman makapag-disburse ng allowances po ng kanyang scholars. Ang Pasig City, ang isa sa pinaka-successful pagdating sa electronic disbursements. Kasama ko pong nag-implement ng iba't ibang electronic distribution, si Sir Ira Cruz. Hello, sir. Thank you so much for allowing me to present this afternoon. Importante po kasi talaga na nagpapasalamat po ako kay Sir Ira dahil napaka-importante po talaga na naiintindihan po ng ating partner LGU ang kailangan gawin sa parte ng LGU, sa parte po nila para maging successful po ang ating disbursement. Si Pasig po, ang ginawa po talaga nila ay nag-data gathering po sila at sinigurado po nila na ang kasama po sa master list po nila ay ang PayMaya accounts, ang tamang PayMaya accounts ng kanilang mga beneficiaries. So right now po ay nagdi-disburse pa rin po kami ng mga allowances po, pati po yung mga tapat loans ni Pasig gamit po ang PayMaya portal. So makikita po talaga natin na napaka-convenient po na meron po tayong facility na makakapag-disburse sa maramihang tao na hindi na kailangan pang magbahay-bahay, menos na po sa pag-deploy ng maraming tao para makumpleto lamang po ang disbursements at maayos pa po ang implementation. Ang maganda po sa sistemang ito ay masisimulan po natin ang tinatawag po nating digital ecosystem. Kasi kakalat na po yan eh. Yung dinisbursan po natin na beneficiary, syempre tuturuan niya na po yung kanyang kapamilya o kapag-anak kung paano gamitin ang PayMaya. At habang parami po yung nagkakaroon ng e-wallet, dapat po ay may pinaggagamitan naman po ang mga constituents po natin ng kanilang PayMaya funds nang sa ganun ay mas ma-develop po nila yung habit na paggamit ng e-wallet. Marami po kasing gamit ang PayMaya app. Kung may laman po na funds ang iyong account, pwede mo na pong gamiting pambayad ng kuryente, tubig, telepono, pwede rin gamitin na pambili ng grocery or gamot via QR payments. Kung kayo ay naubusan ng cellphone load, pwede rin po bumili gamit ang PayMaya tapos discounted pa siya. Actually, ito po ay isa sa dahilan kung bakit mas maganda po talaga na mag-disburse po tayo sa e-wallet ng ating mga beneficiaries. Of course, it's more efficient for the LGU. At the same time, mas marami pong mapaggagamitan ang ating mga beneficiaries ng ating funds na dinidisburse sa kanila. Pero dahil nga po, ang habol ng PayMaya talaga for the LGUs ay hindi lamang mabigyan ng facility na palabas yung pera, dapat po ay mayroon din tayong facility na papasok naman ang revenue o payment sa LGU. Kaya po ang isa sa facilities na meron po ang PayMaya para sa LGUs ay ang aming payment gateway. Gamit po ang aming payment gateway ng PayMaya ay pwede na pong magbayad ang inyong mga constituents ng milyar or business taxes online. Hindi na po kailangan magbiyahe, pumunta sa munisipyo o sa city hall para magbayad. Actually, kahit po nasa bahay po tayo, nanonood po tayo ng Netflix, pwede po tayong magbayad anytime. Ang electronic payments facility po ay napaka-importante po sa panahong ito dahil ito po ay in line with the objectives of the Republic Act number 11032 o Ease of Doing Business and Efficient Government Services Delivery Act of 2018. At ito po ay talagang isinusulong ng ALTA sa mga LGUs. At alam rin po namin na hindi naman din po natin kailangan limitahan yung e-payments sa dalawang serbisyo na ito, RPT lamang o business tax payments. Kaya po ang PayMaya ay maglulunsad ng karagdagang programa na naglalayong gawing electronic na rin yung payments hanggang sa economic enterprises managed ng LGUs. Kasama na po dyan ang e-payment sa traffic violation. Hindi na po kailangang magbayad at tumupos ng lisensya at pupunta pa po sa City Hall. Gamit po ang inyong PayMaya account, ay pwede nyo na pong isettle ang inyong fines, yung current, pati po yung mga previous. Di ko po sinasabi na mag-violate po kayo ng traffic, but just in case it happens, pwede na po kayo magbayad via PayMaya. So we recently launched this service with the City of Mandaluyong. Isusunod naman po namin dyan ang e-payments ng ating mga vendors sa kanilang mga renta sa mga public markets. We've partnered with Antipolo, We've partnered with Valenzuela at Bayan ng Orani. So right now po ay namimigay po kami ng QR codes, no, sa mga vendors para po ang kanilang mga suki ay po pwede naman po magbayad electronically sa kanila po. And then at the end of the day, yung mga vendors naman po ay magbabayad sa LGU electronically rin gamit yung kanilang e-wallet. So marami pa po tayong po pwedeng gawin, like yung mga fish ports po natin, yung ating mga utilities, po pwede pong electronically paid na rin po. Isama na rin po natin dyan ang ating transport, no? Yung mga slaughterhouse, kahit po sementeryo po, pwede na po dapat electronically magbayad po sa LGU. So, napakarami po ng pwede nating paggamitan so long as meron pong funds ang ating e-wallet. So, napaka-exciting po talaga na simulan natin ang pag-disburse sa e-wallet ng ating constituents. Ito po yung simula ng pagmulat natin sa mata ng ating mga kababayan na pwede naman pala, no? Pwede naman pala matutunan. Pwede naman palang madali lang pala siyang gamitin. At sana dumating po ang panahon at ang punto na sasabihin po ng ating mga constituents, no, na don't pay cash, pay Maya. Ayan. Diyan po nagtatapos ang aking presentation. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Tisha. You're right, no? The pandemic has really forced government to change behavior. Yung dating bahay-bahay or yung iba through sa munisipyo or city hall, hindi na pwede. And because of the pandemic, na-hasten or napabilis yung pagbago ng behavior ng mga tao. And it's good to know from your presentation na maganda yung reception, ano? And hopefully you can tell us more about that later on. And when you have your conversation with Jowil later in the program, kung ano nga ba yung reaction. You mentioned maganda yung reaction, pero gaano kaya kaganda yung reaction ng mga tao dun sa bago, no? Kasi mas madali ito for the government, but I think it's also a lot easier for the constituents. At hindi lamang ito, as you mentioned, ngayong pandemic, but hopefully, or as we can see, it's becoming a standard of practice at nasasanay at nag-a-adjust na rin yung mga tao into having a digital life, no? And I think that's also very important kasi may implication yan sa data at sa policy ng gobyerno, which we would be more excited, of course, to listen to later on in your conversations, no? So hopefully through your presentation, the LGUs that are joining us today have had a better idea kung ano yung mga posibilidad sa electronic disbursements, ano yung pwedeng gawin. Thank you din sa pag-share ng ibang case studies, no? Yun yung mga patikim ng possibilities which we look forward to hearing more about later when you join the conversation segment.
All right, sir. Maraming salamat po.
Of course. So sana later on you can also share with us paano naman a lot of our partners in PH3D yung kanilang area walang signal o mahina ang signal at yung kanilang mga mamamayan ay walang smartphone. So hopefully you can tell us more about that and how this effort can really help build a database for government, because as you know, PH3D is all about data-driven development or governance. Our next speaker, obviously, from knowing what can be done, move on naman tayo sa paano gagawin, no? Ano yung mga pwedeng gawin with all of the technology that Tisha has mentioned. And our next speaker will share with us an actual live case study. And but before that, remember, you may send us your questions or comments at any time via the Zoom chat box or the comment section on Facebook. Tama. So our next speaker, brings with him a decade of experience in project management, partnership relations, and private sector engagement as an accountant and innovation leader. He took his master's in innovation and business at the Asian Institute of Management. As one of the project portfolios, or as one of his project portfolios at Oxfam in the Philippines, he is the financial inclusion manager with Be Ready. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Junver Arcayna. Hello, Junver.
Hi, Ira. Magandang hapon. Thank you for inviting us. We're very excited to share this project, especially how LG, will potentially use this model also. And very exciting because it's also my first time to see Tisha sa PayMaya, but the whole PayMaya has been a strong part of this project. Kaya sobrang excited that I get to see more also of what PayMaya has been doing. Okay, so I'm gonna share about Be Ready project. So, yung Be Ready project, nakikita na ba yung screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, great. So, Be Ready project is actually a project by a consortium. So, these are the consortium members from the local government units, science engaged business partner like Global Parametrics and PayMaya Smart Padala. But also we are partnering with Plan International, PDRN, yung mga non-government organizations din natin, and we're supported by Dutch Relief Alliance. So Be Ready stands for Building Resilient, Adaptive, and Disaster-Ready Communities Project. The entire goal of Be Ready is to try to explore innovative model and innovative ways where we can actually help the vulnerable populations and communities to be better prepared when a potential disaster would happen. So yung Be Ready, nag-start siya as our pilot project sa Salcedo sa Eastern Samar, and this is with the leadership of Mayor Melchor Mergal. He's our Be Ready champion, our anticipatory action champion, and I hope that eventually we'll get to hear from him and his story. And then now that we are scaling Be Ready after our pilot project in Salcedo, we are now in Oras in Eastern Samar and in Cotabato City naman. So this is our second project with Be Ready, which is about scaling and then sustainability. But to give you more of the background, yung journey and milestones ng Be Ready, it started nung 2019 pa, and the first pilot project ended ng first quarter ng 2021. So sobrang to siya because it's an innovation, something that's new, matagal siya na work, but because of the strong partnership as well that we have from the local government unit, nila Mayor Mel, plus our partners such as the non-government organizations and PayMaya, naging productive at currently nasa Be Ready 2 na tayo. So yung sa Be Ready, meron tayong tatlong phases of implementation. One, ito yung social preparation. Yung pangalawa, yung development ng triggers, tsaka training ng standard operating procedures. And then yung pangatlo, yung sustainability planning and scale-up. So on the first year, ang focus talaga natin is yung social preparation. We went to Salcedo in Eastern Samar. Nagkaroon tayo ng risk assessment, ng pre-crisis market assessment. Kasama na dito yung profiling ng project participants natin, yung household that will be involved. So meron tayong criteria that we created. And kasama doon sa social preparation yung financial literacy. We felt that that is important kasi yung goal din natin yung financial inclusion, na these project participants, yung households na to na nakita natin, are most likely the households who wouldn't have experienced or have a clear idea and knowledge paano nga ba gagamitin yung digital services or digital platforms such as PayMaya. And then yung second phase was yung development na ng triggers. Ang ginawa natin, nagkaroon tayo niya ng gathering of historical data and yung mga indexes which I'll share later as well. But kasama na dito yung sinubukan natin na magkaroon ng disbursement. And nangyari yan sa pre-disaster disbursement natin sa Typhoon Dujuan last February. Yung development ng trigger natin also involved the community para localized yung language. And then yung third phase is yung sustainability na and scaling up. That's why currently from Salcedo na pilot project natin, ang goal is kaya bang i-forecast natin yung typhoon that's coming and and ma-prepare na sila. Currently naman sa Oras and sa Salcedo, tinitingnan natin sa Oras and sa Cotabato, tinitingnan natin kung kaya ba, kung i-forecast natin na tataas yung baha matutulungan natin yung mga project participants natin na nasa vulnerable areas, usually prone to flooding and prone naman sila to typhoon. So ito yung innovation na ginawa natin sa Be Ready. Ang goal ng Be Ready is for the vulnerable households na better protected from natural disasters through a pre-disaster case transfer program using new digital forecasting technologies na pinipredict natin yung weather events. So meron tayong tatlong innovation. Una, yung impact-based disaster forecasting. Ang ginawa natin sa innovation part na to is gumawa tayo ng parametric index. Kumuha tayo ng even 60 years na historical data. Kasama na dito yung data sa community and events na nangyari, especially yung mga extreme weather events, in order to generate forecast information. Sa Salcedo, yung pilot project natin, we focused on typhoons kasi yun yung nature sa Salcedo Eastern Samar. Yun yung pinaka-geographical vulnerabilities nila and experience nila sa previous typhoons. But also, dahil active din yung LGU natin, meron na din silang collective learning and best practices of their DRR. But another element dito sa impact-based disaster forecasting natin is yung social vulnerability naman. So we gather the data in terms of gaano ka vulnerable or exposed yung mga village, yung mga barangays na yon, and if they're, for example, yung houses ba nila made of light materials and other factors. And kinolect natin yung mga data na to from the community, and kasama dito kung may access ba sila sa finance, sa resources, ano yung income level. So from the historical data in terms of extreme weather events, and then forecast information and yung social vulnerability na kinreate natin, we factor that out para magawa yung parametric index model. So from all those data, ginawa natin yon as a trigger, which are information that will tell communities when to act. Kaya early warning siya. So pangalawang innovation natin, we link early action to forecast and financial transfer technologies for social protection and anticipatory action. So yung innovation na to is linked naman sa nagawa na nating project kasama si PayMaya, which is yung I Afford. Na yung mga project participants natin, meron silang mga cards, card holders sila ng I Afford. And ito yung access nila to their financial accounts, and they can use these cards to receive funds, facilitate savings, remittance, payments, and insurance. So kung na-predict natin na merong bagyo na mahihit, kung may cash transfer tayo through the I Afford card na, yung partnership natin with PayMaya. So when there is a trigger for release, yung money will automatically transferred via yung registered mobile number. Pangatlong innovation na ginawa natin is yung paradigm shift to preemptive response, aligning systems, policy, and financing for greater overall disaster response. Kasi dito natin nakita na because may change ng access ng resources in a form of cash, we have to ensure na hindi siya magli-lead to any risk or harm, particularly sa gender-based violence in the household. So ang ginawa natin, ito din yung mga advice naman talaga sa atin ng mga humanitarian organizations. Kaya sa paggamit ng parametric information and then yung develop natin na preemptive cash transfer na may context ng multiple hazards, kinomplement naman natin to ng social protection program. In a way, meron tayong mga social protection monitors sa Salcedo so that kung merong kailangan silang i-report na any form of gender-based violence, meron tayong team that will handle that. Kasi dito natin nakita na there's a potential increase ng GBV dahil sa change ng resources. So in a nutshell, yung innovation natin na tatlo na yun, kung pagsasama-samahin natin, ito na yung forecast-based pre-disaster cash transfer natin. So ang ginawa natin, yung una, merong preparedness, may financial literacy, merong updating kung sino yung mga beneficiaries, meron tayong data management kung sino yung mga project participants natin. prior to a typhoon, malaman natin nag-report si Pag-asa. 10 to 7 days nagsabi si Pag-asa na merong low pressure area or may parating na typhoon. Gamit yung parametric model na ginawa ng ating partner na si Global Parametrics, makikita na natin yung forecast kung tatama ba in the case of Be Ready 1 sa Salcedo yung bagyo na yon. So 3 days bago pa man matamaan ng bagyo si Salcedo, kung nakita na natin na merong 60% probability na tatama yung bagyo sa mga specific areas with vulnerabilities, ginagawa na natin yung trigger, nagka-cash transfer na tayo sa project participants. So ito yung paradigm shift na ginagawa natin, na instead of providing cash transfer after the calamity, yung pre-disaster cash transfer natin is needed more to help people increase yung resiliency naman nila. So if things like if people kailangan nila ng mga things prior pa magkaroon ng disaster, they face a better chance for quick recovery, survival, and even zero casualty. Ang ginagawa natin bago pa man dumating yung bagyo, 3 days before, natulungan na sila. Potentially, bumili na sila ng food, ng medicine, may pang-transportation sila to evacuate to their relatives, or na-prepare nila ng bahay para mas maging resilient yung shelter nila. But this has been made possible because na-integrate natin yung parametric forecasting, yung early warning system na nagpa-prompt sa LGU yung to take early action. And it provides communities to be prepared talaga and know the next steps. And even because these are localized, alam ng mga project participants anong gagawin pag nag-trigger na tayo kasi na-meet na yung threshold ng forecast natin. So ito yung mga things na natutunan natin, no? And because our audience here also involves local government unit, gusto kong i-share na number one, sobrang laki ng yung important ng LGUs to yung na maging instrumental sila sa safeguarding ng rights of citizens and yung promoting yung participation, but also yung local government na yung have high acceptance on parametric forecast. But we've also seen, no, dahil ngayon nasa second pilot project tayo with flat parametric, na meron pa ring mga policy na naglilimit, but that's part of our advocating efforts also. Paano kaya ma-change na yung response natin hindi na dahil may dumating na bagyo, but even prior, kasi mas nakaka-save tayo doon. But also, pag localize yung triggers natin and yung na-design natin is not mayroon talagang community drill, alam ng mga communities, and that is important lalo kung may leadership talaga from the LGU, from those that are in the authority to do that, and it helps lalo sa community din. And also, lastly, what we've learned is yung need din talaga ng financial inclusion and increased social protection is imperative during this time. Kaya, especially with economic downturn sa COVID-19 plus yung series of disasters natin na nangyayari sa Philippines, dito natin nakikita yung need to reach to populations that are usually not being reached ng mga financial services, no? And through this model, we've proven na if those vulnerable population would have an understanding about what financial services are available to them, and there's accessibility and usability, magkakaroon po ng malawak pa ng understanding yung mga vulnerable population na pwede silang mag-save, meron palang access to loans or access to insurance eventually. And so, I hope na sa na-share ko ngayon about Be Ready, ang pinaka-hope natin is maging resilient tayo, adaptive, and disaster ready. And our response is not post-disaster, but we've already managed the risk and merong early warning, kaya we are saving more lives dahil na-protect natin yung communities even before a disaster happens. So yun lamang po, and ito yung mga impact stories that we have. Sabi ni Jennifer, giving cash assistance before any disaster strikes helps a lot for a solo parent like me. It helps me to be ready mentally and financially to evacuate to a safer place that the local government has designated. The cash gives me the capacity to protect my children and my livelihood. And lastly, an impact story as well to one of our beneficiaries. Now, when Typhoon Yolanda came, our house and everything in it were washed out. We had to rebuild from the ruins. My small boat was beyond repair. Be Ready gives us fisher folk hope that when a typhoon is looming, help comes before the strong winds and harsh rains arrive. What we've given to our project participants is dignity. When we give them cash, we are giving them we are empowering them to actually decide what matters most to them in terms of preparation. Do they need to buy food, medicine? Do they need to buy things that will help their shelter, to rebuild their houses? That's dignity that we also want to achieve to the vulnerable population. So that's Be Ready, and thank you for listening, and excited to hear also your feedback and questions later.
Thank you very much, Junver. That's really taking preparedness to a whole new level altogether. Such a data-rich presentation, and I just really want to be able to help you highlight, that first of all, the disaster response happening before the disasters, an innovation in itself. But I love how giving people the funds before, giving them the discretion, empowering them, and giving them independence. I think it's an innovation on another innovation on its own. I think it's very important because and it's great that you also touched about financial literacy. It's almost as if it's such an end-to-end solution what you guys have done, and it's really exciting to hear about it. No? And of course, through the financial literacy, that's how you are now able to collaborate or find an intersection with e-wallet providers. So it's from preparedness on a different level to giving people dignity to help themselves, to financial literacy, and even to gender-based violence. And in the upcoming session, we'd love to understand more. Now that you've mentioned your pilot, that this is a pilot, and that now that you're looking forward to expanding the project, what kind of policies can the national government or government in general, what can they roll out in order to support this? How can the industry, such as like PayMaya, support, or what kind of products or projects or features can they introduce to support this? And you've also mentioned it's data points from everywhere. It's not just data about who to receive it, but you also have data in terms of typhoon, 60 years you mentioned. But that's interesting to know. Do you have a view of people's behavior after this? How are they using the money? It's such a, is there also, because they're prepared, is there also an implication in terms of evacuation centers? Now that they're prepared, are we seeing less people going to evacuation centers? Which I think is very important also to talk about, as especially at a time of pandemic where you want to be away from crowds. So thank you so much, Junver. What a rich presentation. What an ayuda coming from Oxfam. Thank you so much. To everybody joining us today, remember, you may send us your questions or comments at any time via the Zoom chat box or the comment section on Facebook. On to our next segment, to facilitate the conversation segment on the second online learning session and understand, as I mentioned, the implications of all of these data and policy in local government units and even national government, is the policy lead of PH3D. Please join me in welcoming Jowil Plecerda. Hi, Joel.
Hi, Ira. Maraming salamat for the very rich discussion so far. And we have come to as you've mentioned, we have come to the other exciting part of this afternoon session. I am sure you have been looking forward to the discussion. So I'm sure you have your questions with our presentations to Junver and Tisha. So thank you to our panelists. May I request them back on stage, back to our Zoom platform. So Tisha and Junver. Yes. Ira, did we agree on the background on the colors of our background. Mukhang nagsaswak, no? Parang PayMaya with the pastel green, and then Junver with the pastel blue, and then to ating Zoom background para pastel blue and yellow. Parang it comes together.
It's a collaboration, as we always say.
Yes. Okay, so as mentioned by Ara, just please keep your questions coming. So we have collated some of the questions that have been sent through the platforms earlier, sent through the chat box. So we'll be asking them to our panelists. So to start the ball rolling, so kanina na mention na ni Ira, about the impact to the constituencies, to the public, no? So a common theme in both your presentation, Tisha was talking about the different modalities, like the different programs that have been that used PayMaya as a for the payouts, no, and for all the other services for some of the enterprises of the LGUs. And of course, Junver also talked about be ready and anticipatory planning, and how pre-disaster financial support, no, through digital also has helped in their Be Ready program, particularly in Salcedo. So, you've touched on some of the aspects. Junver ended his presentation with the impact, and of course, Tisha also on the digital and financial inclusion. So, maybe just a little bit of question on that, like what has been the positive feedback, or feedback in general from the public, like ano ba yung positive na naranasan nila because of digital payments or using e-wallets based on the initiatives that you presented earlier? Maybe we can start with Tisha.
Maraming salamat, Jowil, sa iyong question. When you ask me kung ano yung reaction, no, ng ating mga constituents and even the LGUs. So there's two there. I need to discuss yung una, yung ating mga LGUs. Karamihan po talaga sa kanila ay natulungan po talaga ng ating facility para mas mabilis po nila maiparating yung tulong na kailangan po ng kanilang constituents. So ang LGUs talagang na-appreciate talaga nila, no, yung fasilidad ng PayMaya na makakatulong sa pagpamimigay ng cash assistance. Yung ating mga constituents naman, syempre ito ay bagong, 'di ba? This is a new product. Bago to sa kanila, hindi po lahat ng ating mga beneficiaries ay tech savvy. So kinakailangan pong i-guide pa rin po natin sila. Pero ang kinagandahan dun kasi ay nasimulan po natin, no? Nasimulan natin na mabigyan sila ng e-wallet. At karamihan po dito, lalo na sa Pasig, marami po sa kanila mga scholars po. At alam naman po natin, pag scholars yan, ay mga tech-savvy na rin yan sila kahit papano. And it's nice because we see that instead of the scholars or the beneficiaries simply encashing the cash assistance, sila po ay ginagamit na nila mismo ang funds within the app, no? Pinambabayad po nila probably sa kuryente ng kanilang bahay. Karamihan po sa kanila nakasubok na rin po mamili ng gamot at grocery gamit ang QR po nila. So sa punto po ng LGUs, talagang thumbs up. Nakatulong po talaga ang facility na ito. Pagdating po sa ating mga constituents, kailangan pa po natin sila kahit papano, no, na i-educate some more. But for those who have a little bit of understanding, no, dito sa mga digital channels, no, for them to use yung electronic transactions, na appreciate na po nila, hindi na po nila ina-encash na lamang, no, ang pinamimigay po natin sa kanila na cash assistance, kundi ginagamit na po talaga nila in-app. Kinikilig po kami pag nakikita po namin, oh my God, nag-order siya online. Tuwang-tuwa na po kami na meron pong sumubok, no, na mag-order online or even gumamit ng QR. Tuwang-tuwa na po kami, especially now that we are rolling out yung ating QRPH. Para sa akin po ay malaking at magandang simulain po ito, lalo na nakapag-disburse po tayo sa e-wallets. With that po kasi ay magkakaroon na po tayo ng mas magandang engagement sa ating mga constituents, and it's so easy for us to teach them now that we already have their mobile number, so we can continue to educate them.
Thank you, Tisha. Junver, ano yung naging positive feedback from the citizens? Mas napadali ba yung buhay nila? May mga konting quotes doon sa present mo kanina no from your partners in Salcedo?
Oo, aside sa yung impact story that I've shared no sa presentation, another thing din na na-mention ng isang project participant natin, I'll quote it directly from what she said na I learned that there were many uses of the I Afford PayMaya card. It serves as my savings account where I can deposit cash. And if my two children working in Manila want to send us financial support, they could deposit money in my I Afford account at any financial service provider such as Smart Padala Centers. So it means to say na yung mga project participants kasi natin na napili talaga dito are those areas that are super yung prone talaga sila to typhoon and very vulnerable in terms of yung household nila. But because we've had financial literacy training to them and making them understand the use of platforms such as PayMaya, na-open din yung mind nila na meron palang mga ganitong gamit. In fact, in our evaluation report, one of the things that came out is meron ng interest yung mga participants natin doon for loans and insurance, which before they wouldn't even think about, di ba? So dahil sa patuloy natin na paglalayon sa financial inclusion and hindi lang natin basta-basta sinabihan na gumawa ng account pero patuloy din yung financial literacy natin. So sa kanila nakikita nila yung value ng ginagawa natin and the use of digital platform, and nare-reach natin yung communities that are usually hindi nila siguro ma-access yung mga services na yun. And laking pasasalamat namin sa PayMaya with that kasi pag meron tayong makailangan training, lagi natin kasama si PayMaya to do that.
Thank you, Tisha and Junver. So my follow-up question lang dito sa ating mga participants, no? So sabi nila, lahat ba tayo nakatanggap ng naka-experience ng ayuda over e-wallet siguro or digital payment? Maybe we can, if you've experienced it, maybe you can click the thumbs up reaction button kung nakatanggap kayo ng ayuda or any transfer during the pandemic. Siguro we can check if you can click the thumbs up, no, so para ma-check natin kung na-experience nyo rin ba kagaya nung sinishare ni Junver at ni Tisha. Oy, si Miss Vicky naka-experience, and si Sir Jowil all the way from Hong Kong. Si Kim, sad. Kim, hindi ka ata nakatanggap ng ayuda kasi nandun ka sa wala ka sa listahan. Ayun. So, mayroon namang mukhang may mga naka-experience dito sa ating mga participants with the transfer and digital payments. Okay, so second question, and related dun sa earlier na shinare na ni Tisha and also ni Junver na, yes, marami nang gumagamit online, ginagamit nila for food, no, to do these things, no. And then I don't know if you've read, and related to that, I don't know if you've read just this morning, no, na out yung isang report from yung Economy Southeast Asia report this today, and it says that the Philippines is now the fastest growing digital market in Southeast Asia, so beating other countries in the region, right? So there was a reported growth of 93%, no? So very, very high, and particularly in the digital financial services. Talagang very rapid yung growth over the pandemic. At the same time, sabi ng report, meron pang a lot of room for growth kasi 63% pa lang yung penetration rate. So yun, so may tanong din dito sa atin, actually sa ating mga participants, but I'll ask the broad question na lang. So what do you see are the key challenges, right? So given na mukhang trend talaga siya, no, we are now the fastest growing digital market, and digital financial services seems to be one of the growth areas. So what do you see are the key challenges for growth? And since we're talking about ayuda, no, so or G2P, government to person transactions through digital payments and e-wallets. So based on your experiences, Tisha, and also from the Be Ready in Salcedo and now moving to Oras, Junver, what do you see are the key challenges, right? If we are to fast track this, if we are to do this, to scale this in other areas, and looks like it's it's growing, no? It's catching fire, So what are the key challenges? Ano nakikita nyo? And yun, and sorry, isasakay ko lang yung ibang mga comments natin from our participants. So sinasabi nila, yun, paano natin gagawin yun considering na mahina yung internet sa ibang lugar, no? So these are already part of the key challenges. And then that government is used to paper transactions and cash-based transactions, no? And all that. So yun siguro. I guess we can also start with Tisha.
Yeah, actually dalawa talaga yung based on our experience then on ground, no? Talaga pong dalawa yung major problems natin. The first would be yung access to connectivity nga, kagaya ng binanggit mo a while ago. And then another would be the IDs. Kaya malaking tulong talaga pag na-roll out po natin yung ating national ID, no? Karamihan po sa mga beneficiaries, hindi po namin sila maisama sa ating master list dahil wala po silang ID. Now, if we are able to provide a national ID, then it's going to be so much easier for the LGUs, no, to batch register them and to issue them an actual account. But while we are waiting for that, ang ginawa po namin sa PayMaya ay gumawa po kami ng dalawang klaseng portal, no? May tinatawag po kaming standard portal at meron din po kaming tinatawag na financial inclusion portal. Dahil napansin nga po namin na karamihan po ng mga beneficiaries natin ay walang valid ID. Ang meron lamang po sila ay isang secondary ID. So ang ginawa po namin ay gumawa po kami ng tumutungo si Sir Junver. Talagang, di ba sir, no? Na-experience mo rin yan, di ba? So ang ginawa po namin ay gumawa po kami ng facility, no, ng portal that will accept na tatanggapin na po namin ang isang secondary ID namin, ang isang secondary ID lamang from the beneficiary. Pero of course, dahil hindi ito valid ID talaga, ay ibinaba po namin yung aggregate limit, no, yung transaction ng isang account na ito to a lower level para naman po ay meron pa rin po tayong control measure. So those two talaga ang parati po naming na-experience na na challenges yung IDs at yung connectivity. Minsan po ay binibigyan namin ng SIM, katulong po yung aming mga friends from Smart Communications. Pero syempre, hindi lamang po tayo hihinto sa SIM. Saan po natin ilalagay yung SIM? Yun ang pinaka-importante. So, of course, we are working with Smart Communications to help out as much as we can.
Thank you, Tish. In addition naman sa problem, sa ganung mga challenges, no, sa atin naman sa Be Ready, ang tinatahak kasi natin ngayon is anticipatory action. Managing the risk, gagawin mo na yung things na pwedeng gawin para less na yung impact when a disaster happens. So isa sa pinakamalaki nating challenge is kung in terms of yung ina-advocate natin yung policies ng government. Currently nag-release na kasi yung policies natin is makakapag-release lang ng yung funding yung LGU after a disaster, yun yung meron. Pero dahil din sa mga efforts natin, no, kasama ng iba pang mga organizations in the Philippines na are going towards the path of anticipatory action, nag-release na ng memo na ang NDRRMC na if ever merong ma-forecast na extreme weather events, pwedeng mag-release ng 15% fund. But also they are saying na i-expand din nila yung definition nila ng responses. Magkakaroon na ng pre-disaster, which is doon located yung anticipatory action, yung impact phase, and then yung post-disaster phase. And hopefully, mas maging polisiya na talaga siya, maging kasama na talaga para yung mga local government units natin would have the necessary funds also sa anticipatory action na gagawin nila. So kung ilalagay nila ito, i-embed nila to sa polisiya ng kanilang mga komunidad.
Thank you, Tisha and Junver, no, for sharing your responses and some of the key challenges. No, so talagang yun, na-mention ni Tisha that they're trying to accommodate as much as possible itong mga challenges na ito, and also with Oxfam. Sige. So kanina na-mention din ito napahapyawan na konti ni Ira, and na-mention din ni Tisha and ni Junver sa kanilang presentation. So how do you see the role of data, no, in in digital payments and e-wallets if we are to fast track it. So na-mention kanina ni Junver sa presentation na about having several sources, and also si Tisha din doon sa pag-vet, no, yung secure information like yung beneficiary mo, no, so parang na maayos siya pag on-board, no. So ano pa yung ibang nakikita natin in terms of data and its role in fast tracking ayuda through digital payments and e-wallets?
Ladies first?
Yes, yes.
Sige.
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, ang sa amin kasi, pag ang importante po kasi sa PayMaya is mas gamitin po, no, ang funds na dinidisburse natin in-app, no, or electronically pong gamitin ng mga beneficiaries natin for their regular transactions, day-to-day transactions, no. So ang nakikita po kasi namin is we always take a look at kung gaano karami sa ating mga beneficiary ang nag-e-encash pa rin yung na-disburse mo na nga electronically sa kanila, ilalabas pa rin nila na cash, no? So yun ang pinaka-importante sa amin. Pag nakikita namin na, oops, itong area na ito, for example, or itong community na to, itong mga beneficiaries natin dito sa particular LGU natin ay karamihan pa rin talaga ay ine-encash pa rin nila yung pera. Mas gusto pa rin nila pera. We have to come up with a promo, for example, or yung mga programa na ma-incentivize sila para mas gamitin yung funds electronically, no. So yan ang ginagawa namin ngayon, lalo na sa hanay ng mga beneficiaries natin sa LGUs. As much as possible, we really encourage them to use the funds in app, no, or kung may cards man sila, kagaya ng ginawa namin sa City of Manila, senior citizens, for example, no, syempre malamang-lamang gagamitin nila ang pera nila na pambili ng gamot, no? So imbis na i-withdraw pa nila, pag withdraw kasi nila, mababawasan pa yan ng ATM fees eh. Ang pwede po nilang gawin ay dumiretso na po sa drugstore, no? At iswipe na lamang po ang kanilang card. So yan po yung mga base po sa data na nakikita po namin kung talaga pong kinakailangan i-educate itong mga beneficiaries nito, itong komunidad na ito to use their funds in app or via their card, then we will do that. So yan, for now, at least for the LGU segment, yan po talaga ang binabantayan po namin.
And also to add to that, no, sa experience namin sa Be Ready, dito natin nakita na sobrang laki ng maitulong kung data-driven tayo. Unang-una pa lang nung naisip natin na pwede kaya na ma-predict natin yung bagyo na mag-hit to a certain place. Nung inisip natin yun na innovation, hindi siya naging imposible kasi kung titingnan natin, andyan na yung mga data eh. Meron na tayong mga data in terms of mga forecast, yung actual talaga na typhoon na nangyari before. Nung kinolect natin yung social vulnerability index, ando na yung mga data na yun. It's really just a matter of making use of that data na understanding yung mga data na points, paano yun siya gagamitin para for good. And in our case, nagamit natin yun, no, para magamit sa pre-disaster. But second, dahil sa nagawa natin sa Be Ready, yung anticipatory action at early warning natin, dito natin nakita na pwede din dahil sa data-driven yung ginawa natin at naging effective. Meron tayong use case na nangyari na cash transfer talaga prior to a disaster na magta-translate into a policy na sasalo naman yung polisiya na yun sasalo para ma-implement pa ng mabuti. Ang sobrang nakikita ko sa atin sa Pilipinas, no, ang daming data points pa na pwedeng pag-aralan, na pwedeng gamitin. Sa ngayon, for example, yung nakikita natin sa Cotabato, kasi ang tinatry natin intindihin, kaya bang i-predict yung flood level, ma-forecast yun na bago pa sobrang tumaas yung baha, matutulungan na natin yung mga vulnerable population. Pero kung titingnan natin, may mga na-experience na tayo and meron tayong mga data ng mga previous, di ba? And it's really just a matter of using that data and analyzing that data para mas matulungan pa natin lalo yung mga vulnerable population. And that makes this exciting kasi tayo pioneering pa lang, pero naka-embed na in full picture, no, from data gathering to an early action, pero kasama na yung hinihit natin yung target in terms of financial inclusion na digitally alam din gamitin ng mga population na yun na tina-target natin, which sobrang nakaka-excite lang where we are. We're still scratching the surface. Nasa pilot project pa lang tayo with another innovation, but it's there. We have a use case already.
Thank you, Junver. And on that point, let me just there's a participant here who's affirming what you've just said. So she's saying she's been blown away by your presentation. So thank you very much. As a typhoon survivor who's still living in a flood-prone area, she can attest that investing in preparedness is better than doing it post-disaster. No? So receiving ayuda before the onslaught of a disaster is helpful because the families are still in the right mindset to plan and how to properly spend their emergency fund. They are not yet in a state of panic and trauma. It will also give the families the capacity to evacuate in more comfortable spaces with their basic needs already. So thank you, Junver and Tisha. So may patotoo tayo from our participants. Before we move on to the next question, we have a lot of questions coming in. So just related to the point on data, on the role of data. So there's a question here on using data. How can we make ayuda using digital payments, e-wallets more personal? Like how can we use data to tailor fit siguro yung ating mga ayuda or the support or the government to person transfers, right? Lalo na, for example, in the context of a disaster or itong COVID pandemic, yung mga wages, economic support to small and micro businesses, right? So, yun. And then, sorry, I'll just run through the questions and then siguro I'll give it to Tisha and Junver later kung alin mga key points na lang ang pwedeng i-address. So that's one on the data part. So how to make it personal, targeted, right? And then the other question here is also on the security, right? So paano ba yung aspect ng security? Like paano ba natin ito mag-guarantee na okay, no, yung mga ganon. And then my specific comments or questions for PayMaya, Tisha. So one here says that it seems that PayMaya may also face the same dilemma confronting Facebook. That is the digital facility used as a conduit for bad people to transact fraudulent, illegal business. So I think related din dun sa security, no? Maybe impact-based disaster forecasting involving the communities. And my example dito anyway, since we're going into the campaign season for this coming 2022 elections, your tagline becomes the adopted tactics of vote buying or selling, right? Sabi ng nagbibenta ng boto, don't pay cash, pay Maya. Totoo ba yun? So imagine one politician's bagman disbursing, I'm reading from the comments, imagine one politician's bagman disbursing 1,000 pesos each for 10,000 voters in a day. No? So yun specific to PayMaya. Mayroon pang isa, Tisha lang, very specific to PayMaya is, based on my experience po, some people complain that they have already a PayMaya account, but upon verifying, hindi siya pwedeng ma-disbursan dahil ibang type po ng account yung na-create nila. How can we further educate po yung mga users natin about this? So, that's it, no, in relation to the data. And then, on the data still, may data po ba on the number of households na walang access sa smartphone and internet in any of your project sites? Siguro Junver can address these questions. Also related pa rin siguro sa data and security, Tisha, how are cases of isinangla yung cash card sa nagpapautang? How can we deal with that? So, yun. Tisha, Junver, yeah. A lot of questions, interesting questions, yeah.
Mukhang maraming questions, no, kay Tish. Mauna ako.
Oh nga. Sige, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Sige. Siguro una kong isa sa key point lang na nakita ko sa nabasa natin na question, paano magkaroon ng personal touch yung paggamit, no. One of the things that we've done for Be Ready is una, nung nakita natin yung communities na nag-market mapping tayo ng ecosystem doon sa mga communities natin, doon natin nakita na wala naman dong banks, walang ATM, for example. Kaya ang ginawa natin, kanino sila pupunta? For example, nagkaroon ng cash transfer. Kanino pupunta yung project participants para gamitin nila yung binigay na cash transfer? Ang ginawa po natin sa tulong din ni PayMaya, meron tayong tinatawag na MIMO, yung money in, money out, mga sari-sari stores po natin. Tinrain natin yung mga sari-sari stores natin na merong smart padala. And di ba yung sari-sari store natin sa mga communities, kumbaga, yun doon yung isa sa nagsasprout ng sa local economy. Kaya hindi na natin pinahirapan yung mga project participants to look for any other ways and go to another city or municipality just to use yung cash transfer, no? But in-empower natin yung mga micro merchants natin, mga sari-sari stores within these areas. We train them with the Be Ready protocol. We train them also in handling. Kasi kasama sila sa, pag na-meet na yung trigger, kasama sila sa ni-inform na magkakaroon ng cash transfer, meron doon. So dito, in terms of using yung cash transfer tsaka yung digital inclusion, no, yung local economy din nila tumataas din kasi dahil may pumasok na pera, hindi na lumabas pa sa komunidad kundi doon na sila mismo gumagastos sa mga sari-sari stores within their area. I think that's one of the things we've considered sa mga project participants natin na andun agad may access pa rin sila aside from the platform, may access sila where to use the cash. Yun po.
Thank you, Junver. Tisha?
Okay. So in addition to what Sir Junver said, yung in terms of yung personalized, no, yung ating serbisyo sa ating mga beneficiaries, hindi lamang po PayMaya yan eh. Kailangan po ay magkaroon ng cooperation, no, yung tatlong stakeholders natin. That would be PayMaya dahil kami ay enabler. Ang LGU, kailangan din po natin ang suporta nila dahil sila po ang project proponent. And then we will also involve our partner merchants, no? Kasi talagang kailangan natin magkaroon ng shift sa mindset na imbis na cash ang gamitin, electronic payments na lang ang i-adapt ng ating mga beneficiaries. So yung tatlong yon, kailangan we would have to work hand in hand, no, para makadeliver tayo ng mas personalized na service, a service that our beneficiaries will really appreciate, no. Once they appreciate it, they will try it. And then they'll experience that, yeah, it's nice. So they'll develop the habit of continuously using it, no. So for example, sa City of Manila, kailangan namin ng tulong ng LGU, no, na magdi-disperse talaga sila ng, say for example, monthly nga na pension ng ating mga senior citizens. But then, we will also need the help, no, ng iba pang stakeholders ng ating community, such as the merchants there, no, yung mga drugstores, yung pupuntahan po nila, sisiguraduhin po ng PayMaya, dahil partners po namin ng mga drugstores na ito, sisiguraduhin po namin na meron po silang discounts or incentives, probably, no, sa paggamit ng mga funds na dinisburse sa kanila ng LGUs via PayMaya. So yun po yung posible nating gawin para makadeliver po tayo ng mas personalized at mas ma-appreciate po ng ating mga beneficiaries na services. So that's my answer to the first question. The second question, the very controversial vote buying.
Yes.
I have no recollection, Your Honor. Yan.
Don't pay cash, PayMaya daw.
No? Pero syempre, alam naman po namin na of course technically you can transfer funds to another person. But sinigurado po ng PayMaya na meron po tayong mga control measures dyan, no? Kaya nga po may binanggit po ako kanina na payout portal. Ito lamang po ang po pwede nyo pong gamitin, itong payout portal na ito, kung gusto nyo po makapag-disburse sa maramihan. Pero kung ang gamit nyo po ay consumer lamang, no, nag-download lang po kayo ng app, ganyan. Hindi po kayo po pwedeng mag-disburse sa marami, hindi nyo po ikakapanalo. Pag consumer account lang ang hawak ninyo, kailangan may payout portal po kayo. And then syempre, I also mentioned, no, during my presentation, when we onboard the LGU, na meron po kami mga dokumento na hinihingi, no, para ma-check po namin, magkakaroon po tayo ng due diligence, no, bago po namin i-provide yung portal sa aming LGU partners. Kaya po hihingi din po tayo ng budget appropriation para alam po natin kung magkano lamang po yung pondo na dadaan po sa portal natin. So, meron po mga safeguards yan. No? May mga control measures po tayo dyan na hindi po natin magagamit para sa mga illegal activities na ito. Ayan.
Okay.
So that's my
Thank you.
answer to the very controversial question.
Yes.
The third one. There's
Sorry.
another one. They were asking about the sangla of the cards. You know, I always get this question, no? Kaya nga po gumawa kami ng isa pa pong produkto, we call it the Citizens ID, no? It's a super ID, kumbaga, na itong card na ito ay hindi lamang cash card. Ito ay yung official ID mo. Ngayon, pag sinangla mo yan, hindi ka makakapasok sa opisina mo. So, hindi pwedeng isangla. So, gumawa kami ng mga ganong klaseng produkto. Of course, ito po ay from the feedback also of our clients, no? So, we can probably explore that, no? Issuing not just a regular cash card, but the IDs, which is also powered by PayMaya. There you go.
Thank
That's
you.
my third
Thank you.
answer.
Yes, thank you, Tisha. Thank you,
All
Junver.
right.
We have a lot of questions still that we have not been able to field to you guys. So here's what we'll do. We'll just collate them and send them to Junver and Tisha, and we can send the responses via email. We are sorry, but we are running out of time. And we can do another OLS where we can give more time to for Q&A. So thank you to our participants.
Sir, sorry,
Yes.
last na lang. I have to address this one. Kasi yung concern niya is very valid. Sabi niya yung hindi siya ma-disbursan dahil ibang account yung hawak niya. Don't worry, ma'am. Ma'am po ba ito? Don't worry, ma'am. Inayos na po namin yan sa sistema po namin. Mayroon tayong whitelisting na gagawin para po ay ma-disbursan po namin kayo. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tisha. Thank you, Junver, again. Thank you to our participants for their questions and active participation in this afternoon's OLS. Now, before we proceed to the next part of our program, allow me to summarize the key points that have been covered so far. Now, so we've seen from the presentations of Junver and Tisha and in the Q&A that financial transfer technologies like digital payments, e-wallets, are becoming key in social protection and financial inclusion. So this was in Junver's presentation, this was in Tisha's presentation about digital and financial inclusion, and Junver's presentation on preparedness, disaster preparedness. So this is, I think, the way of the future based on the study that was out today, and it is here to stay. And as mentioned in our Q&A and in our questions from our participants, data play a very important role, a crucial role in how we will do this, in how we will fast track. But also we need to address some of the key challenges. And this includes, as discussed by Tisha also and Junver, identification, how we will internet access. And of course, Junver mentioned the public policy side that we have to adopt to reach more constituents, like expand the definition of disasters to include pre-disaster preparedness. Kasi sa ngayon, pag nangyari lang yung disaster, yun lang i-alam ni COA na pag-preposition ng goods, no? Not the cash. So they will be disallowed by the Commission on Audit. We invited the Commission Audit, by the way, but unfortunately they are very busy and they couldn't attend today's online learning session. But we've asked for their materials in terms of the relevant audit rules and regulations, and we hope to share it also with you and come up with a short piece of paper to summarize what we've discussed today and put it out in our website. Okay, thank you very much. That's it. Back to you, Ira.
Thank you, Joel, and to our speakers, Ms. Tisha of PayMaya Enterprise. Thank you very much. And Mr. Junver of Oxfam in the Philippines. To close this afternoon's second online learning session of the PH3D online learning series, let's welcome back the overall project coordinator of PH3D and senior fellow of AER, Ms. Vicky Quimbo. Welcome back, Vicky.
Hi, Ira. Yes, ang dami natin natutunan dun sa PayMaya, tsaka sa Tsaka gustong-gusto ko talaga yung project na Be Ready kasi makakatulong yan sa natin 'di ba? Dun sa remember one of our project sites is Arteche and
Right.
their priorities we're helping them in their response to disaster preparedness response. So talagang teka muna. Andito na si Justine, papasok siya at mini-mention ko nga na si Justine ng LGU natin sa Arteche. So sayang nga at hindi rin nakarating si Mayor Mergal kasi siya yung 'di ba? Siya yung talagang sana imbitado din natin para makapag-share siya ng experience sa tungkol sa tungkol dun sa Salcedo, no? At saka yung kanilang pagiging 'di ba winner sila ng yung anticipatory action LGU, something like that, 'di ba?
Right.
Junver, no? Anyway, sige. So sandali lang kasi yung how do you call this? Tinitingnan ko yung hindi ko pa nakikita yung hindi ko nakita lahat na nanong participant. So anyway, so patapos na rin. So natapos na rin yung ating yung ating very interesting how do you call this? Very interesting discussion, no? So, syempre, lahat ng everything that has a beginning has an end. So, eto na. So I've delivered the closing remarks on behalf of the Action for Economic Reforms and the PH3D project. I would like to thank all of you for participating in the PH3D second online series titled InstAyuda, Fast Tracking Financial Aid Through Data and E-Wallets. By the way, I'd like to thank Patrick Akupan of AER for thinking about this very sexy title. In particular, our gratitude goes to our speakers, Tisha, Quinitio, and Junver, Arcayna, for sharing their knowledge and experiences on the potential of e-wallets and payment centers as a means to distribute financial assistance to the LGUs, and not just as a one-time solution, but as part of its standard operations. The discussions also made us understand policy and data implications of electronic disbursements. We would also like to thank and make special mention of our representatives from our project sites and partner LGUs, SUCs, and civil society organizations from the municipalities of Arteche and Giwan in Eastern Samar, Pasig City in Metro Manila, and the province of Sorsogon in Bicol. During the talk, meron mga best practice itong one of our partner sites is Pasig, Sayang din, hindi rin sila nakapunta para mag-share ng experience, but the representatives are here, and they've actually shared through the chat box, no? Na nakita tayong ganon, no? I think Doc Manoy, Doc Ed Garcia, who is also our focal, and he's the executive director of the Universal Healthcare as UHC implementation in Bicol, is also here, and also Miss Annabelle, and I think Mr. Dominador Hardin is also here as well. Tapos sa Arteche, hindi ko na isahin yung mga names, but I think si Justine is here, and also then I saw Arvin, I think Arvin's from Giwan. Si Arvin ng Giwan, di ba? And we also have our partners from Likas, no? They're here from ELAC, si Doc Buboy and Hana Hipe. And then we also have meron din tayong we have from DOTR as well. Tapos meron tayong we have some participants from the LGU, Davao City, from Lucena, and kung may makalimutan ako, please, I'd like to apologize if I didn't mention your names. Of course, we also have from Oxfam, no? Syempre yung iba-ibang nating favorite friends natin, yung mga katropa din ni Junver. So, from PayMaya, may kasama din dito si Trish, who's listening as well. And also, I saw that I think GMA News DNG team is also here. Thank you for dropping by, for coming and listening to this conversation that we're having. And okay, tapos yung ating mga andito din ang ating mga AER officers. Andito si Men. Aside from our President Jack, nandito din yung ating Executive Director na si Men Santa Ana, and then our another senior fellow, si Joy Chavez here. Thank you also to our other AR colleagues who and the PH3D team for ensuring the smooth running of this event. Of course, a special thanks goes to the EU delegation in the Philippines for supporting this project. They've just sent their regrets kasi may conflict lang sila, so hindi sila nakapunta, pero usually uma-attend sila ng ating online learning series. And of course, to all, we hope for your continuing participation and support in making our online learning series truly become a capacity development channel to help local development units with the collaboration of other sectors of the community to respond to the needs of their constituents to a data-driven participatory approach. So we hope to see you in the next online learning sessions. Thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Vicky. We're receiving so many messages. Congratulations and thank you and gratitude. Thank you for sending those. We did this precisely to inspire our local government partners to be able to take on data and policy and be able to use it to improve government services and, in the long run, the lives of our constituents. Thank you very much, Vicky. Before we end today's online learning session, let's have a group photo. May we invite everyone to turn their videos on so that we can take a group picture.
All right, it's 3 pages, so just hold your smiles for a bit. Thank you very much. Okay, first page, 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay. Second one, 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay. And last one, 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay po. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ian. And because we are data-driven, we'd like to ask for your help to make our sessions more effective. We are going to put a Google Forms link in the chat box of this Zoom meeting. And it will also be the basis for the issuance of certificates of attendance. Please take time to answer the evaluation form to help us evaluate this session, but also to be able to make sure that the upcoming sessions of the PH3D online learning series is much better than the first. While you're answering that, just remember, if you like today's session, and if you'd like to also watch the other PH3D online learning sessions, please visit our brand new website at ph3d.aer.ph. Well, we're going to pop the link on the chat box so you can answer the evaluation form for today's PH3D OLS2. Remember, certificates of attendance will be based on your evaluation forms.
While they're, Ira, while they're filling this up, nakalimutan ko palang i-thank you din si Jowil for facilitating the discussion. And also, dito from Erica, meron ditong watching from Brussels, Belgium. Proud for AER for this significant project. May mga thank you.
Yeah.
And then another one is
around actually.
Yeah. Tapos there's another one. I think you've mentioned this already. Congrats Action for Economic Reforms and Bringing Data-Driven Concerns and Forecasting Anticipatory Action and the Utilization of Financial Technology in Digital-Based Ayuda. Yeah. Right. So, and other, yeah. And also congrats to PayMaya, syempre, and Oxfam for these opportunities.
Of course, huge thanks to our speakers, PayMaya and Oxfam, and of course the entire AER and PH3D and Collab Dev teams.
Yeah.
All those. Well, that's it for today. Thank you very much for joining the second online learning session of the PH3D online learning series. We hope to see you at the next online learning session. For updates, visit the PH3D website at ph3d.aer.ph. You'll also find there the recordings of this session and other sessions of the PH3D online learning series. Data-driven development in the Philippines, or PH3D, is a project of Action for Economic Reforms. It's co-funded by the European Union. Thank you, and have a good afternoon, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ira. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Maraming salamat po for the opportunity. Sir Ira, thank you. Miss
See you
Vicky,
again. Thank
maraming
you,
salamat.